Okay, here with Nicky Pusey today, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation about how Nicky has self-developed herself and also the people around her. And she's going to tell us more about her job and her career, and yeah, how she's future-proofed herself and her business. And obviously, very interested to find out about some of the stories along the way, what great advice you've been given, and with hindsight, as we always say, which is a wonderful thing. What would you have done differently? And then we'll finish off with, okay, so what are perhaps Nicky's future plans to make sure that she continues to stay relevant and value in her business and also with all the people that she works with. So first of all, I'd like to say, hello, Nicky, how are you?
Hello, David, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm very good, thank you. Lovely sunny day today. You can tell that because the sun's shining a little bit sort of on the shiny bit up here, so I've got
the sun always shines on the righteous.
I won't go that far. So to start us off with, a brief sort of overview of your career.
Okay, so I was actually sacked from my first job. So yeah, I was determined. I didn't want to go to college. I got a job when I was 16 against my mother's better judgment, and at the end of the summer, he sacked me because he obviously wanted sort of just school term time labour. So I ended up going to college and doing the BTEC National Diploma in Business Studies. So it's actually the best thing that happened to me. At the time, I didn't know that. So I did PA skills in it because I thought it was a useful thing to have. My first job was with Clairol, the hair people, and I worked in the marketing department, which was just such an amazing job to do. I was not 18. I was the guinea pig for all the hair colours, and I loved it. But my boss used to say, I used to do shorthand, and he'd say to me, "That's not what I'd say," and I'd say, "That's exactly what you said. Look, I wrote it. Can you read it?" So I think we sort of realised that maybe being a PA wasn't necessarily for me. But I couldn't get a job in sales with them because I was too young. So being the feisty person I am, I thought, well, I'll go and get a job somewhere else. So I went to work for Fabergé, which we all know as Brute.
Wow.
Which was all, battery's gone, David. It was really awful. I wasn't getting given any training. I spent all my time in a car, driving around London on my own, and I just hated it. So one day I wandered in the High Street in Slough, and I went into an employment agency, and they said, "Have you thought about doing recruitment?" And I was like, "No, not really." And then went to another one, and they said, "Have you thought about doing recruitment?" And I went, "No, but I like them a bit more." So that's how I started in recruitment. I was 19. I ended up going to a company called Brook Street, who were fantastic.
Gosh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That's how my recruitment career took off.
Wow. And that was a fair few years ago. So yeah. Tell us what your current role and position and company is now.
Well, a bit of a snapshot from that. I then set up another business in 1989 for two guys who had no recruitment experience, and we built that up to 3 offices, and I think it was about 40 million turnover. But unfortunately, around 2002, things went really pear-shaped with them. They were fighting. There were 2 directors fighting, and I was the mistress of the marriage. And in the end, I was actually off work for 6 months with stress, which was pretty hard because we just moved house, and I was the main breadwinner, and they chose not to pay me. So that was a really, really painful time for me. Made me question whether I wanted to do recruitment, whether I was any good at it. And I sort of went through a whole process, and then happened to meet James Metzger, who's the director of Signet at church. And he said, "Have you thought about doing it on your own?" So 2003, that's when I set up Signet. And the idea was for it to be quite a small business, and it ended up, I mean, we had 15 staff in the last, well, probably about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot bigger than I expected it to be. Obviously, it's not quite like that at the moment.
Yes.
But I think we've hit about 2.8 million turnover at one point.
Yeah.
But we've had to keep changing because the recruitment market is very changeable.
Yeah. Yeah. And what sort of areas do you specialise in terms of recruitment? In any particular industries or types of roles?
Not industry, but sector. So we look with marketing, HR and finance, and mainly sort of, I don't know, I'd say sort of 40k salaries and above.
Yes.
That's our sort of core market. And actually we changed our model last year. We did a big exercise and we looked at all the business we had and actually realised that we were spending a lot of time on doing low revenue business. So it was a brave decision to say we're not going to do that anymore. And in actual fact, in terms of our average placement value, and it's been about 40% higher this year, doing less of it. So our whole mantra last year was less is more.
I like that. Yeah, and sometimes, because
sometimes it's less.
Yeah, we all know that feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
But but it is also just focusing on the things that really do matter and make a difference, rather than just throwing mud at the wall.
Yeah. But it's hard because you have to turn business away sometimes as well.
Yes. Which actually is sometimes a nice feeling because you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Powerful. I think it's powerful. People respect you if you say, actually, no, we're not the right people to do this for you. There's other people who do a better job than us.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And also, it never works if you try and bluff it too far. You can get yourself into all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
So what do you wish you'd have known at the start of your career that you know now?
I think probably that authenticity is absolutely okay. I think I was very much brought up with this, particularly in the role that I set up the business, where I had to have this front, and people weren't allowed to know your weaknesses or, your vulnerabilities. And I actually think the more mature I've become, I've realised that actually there's nothing wrong in being vulnerable or authentic, and actually makes you probably a better leader, certainly. Yes.
Yeah, and just being you as a person.
Yeah, I'm not worried about being me, whereas I was constantly, I can remember feedback when I was a regional director there, that people would say, we don't really know you, we don't know what you do at home, and, we don't know what you do in your social life. And I'd say, well, that's nothing to do with work. And that's not true anymore. Yeah.
And on that journey, what was the best piece of advice that you've been given by somebody in your career?
Do you know what? Probably the best bit of advice is my dad.
Oh.
Inspect to gain respect.
Yeah, you've got to give it before you receive it.
Because I'm very much the trust first person, which is nothing wrong in that. But if someone tells me they've done something, I tend to believe them because I want to. And I've learnt now you need to say, show me.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's because you had 2 sons and not have a daughter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely with Josh.
When you've got a daughter, you learn it really quickly, and you have to ask like 3 or 4 questions, and then you do get the answer.
Yeah. Ask the right question in a different way.
I bet you can read your 2 sons like a book.
Yeah, very different. I mean, Josh he's got his big personalities, but he's a lot more of an introvert and risk averse.
Yeah.
Dan's very confident, and they're both. Yeah, I can read them both quite well.
I can read my son like a book, but my daughter, given up.
He's a woman, David. You're never going to,
Yeah. And anything you'd have done differently, looking back, sort of setting up your business, being in recruitment?
I think the one thing, this is it. What you said earlier about making you think. I think I was 21 when I set up that business. I mean, when I think about it now, I was 21. They gave me a deck chair and a phone, and I was on my own in the office 5 days a week. I had to lock the door to go to get some lunch. When I think of that, I think I must have been absolutely bonkers. But I think at 21, I thought I could do everything. So I was like, but what I didn't do was negotiate the right package for myself. So I didn't have any shares in the business. And that promise kept being told to me. And of course, that never happened. So I think I was very loyal to them for a very long time. And I probably should have left earlier.
Yeah.
Setting up Signet was the best thing I've ever done. But I don't think I would have done. I don't want to mention the name of the business I worked for, but the business was very much, I felt was my business anyway. So I felt like I was a traitor.
Yeah.
I didn't, when I left, there was no plan for me to set up Signet. It was part of the journey I was on. But yeah, I think I trusted too easily when I was young.
And sometimes that is just that learning to ask those few extra questions, isn't it? You can still trust them, but you can just validate that trust by asking those extra questions. You know, it's a bit like when you're doing recruitment interviewing. How good are you at project management? Oh, I'm brilliant.
Yeah.
But you've got to ask those, you know, probing questions, and I think that takes quite a lot of time to realise.
Yeah, I mean, competency interviewing is absolutely, that's part of our Signet's DNA, and I think that's really one of the reasons why we've been very successful in the people we place staying where they are, because we don't do that. Anybody can say, you're good at project management? Yes. Well, tell me about a project that you've run then and how you did it.
Yeah, very much so. So what bits have you enjoyed the most and you're most pleased that you've done, that you've gone, yeah, that was good?
I think I do like the thrill of, so even setting up, that's the first business, there's something very exciting about that, because you can only go up, can't you? You can, you start from scratch and you're building. And I think that I had that same buzz when I set up Signet, because it was nothing. And so everything I did was taken as, up the ladder. So I loved that. I got really excited about it. So I think I've learned that I quite like building things.
Yeah.
Lego, obviously.
Yeah. and the thrill of winning business and doing a good job.
Yeah, I still do. That to me is the best part of the job is that client, getting that new client. But I mean, the candidate's just as important as well. I think if you genuinely feel that you've got a role that is right for somebody, that can really come through, because
you help change their career and life.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we have quite a bad press really as recruiters. I think if you are a good one and you do a good job, you are. I mean, I can remember one girl that I placed her 12 years ago in her first HR job. She's VP of a global technology business now. And I love that, because I can think, well, I helped you get your first job.
Yeah.
That's a story.
Yeah.
The trouble is now, most of our clients and candidates are retiring.
Okay, so that's a great lead on to the next question is, what advice would you give yourself or someone that's setting up their own business or perhaps getting into recruitment at the moment for the future? What advice would you give them?
I think running a recruitment business and being a good recruitment consultant are two different things.
Yeah. So
I think you can be a really good recruiter. And I don't think that's changed. I think they're trying to say that technology is sort of going to be the thing that pushes recruitment forward. It's an enabler. Fundamentally, that whole thing of, are you right for that business, needs the human touch. And I don't think that's ever going to go. And I think if it does, then that's a real shame, because you just said about, this is one of the most important decisions somebody makes. So it needs to be well thought. So when I talk about younger recruiters who they say, well, we don't do face-to-face interviewing, we don't do, and I'm so passionate about it, and I'm never going to change from that, because I've learned that I've had to move on. It used to be face-to-face, and now it's face-to-face like this. But I think that's really important. And if I was, Dan said he was going to set up a recruitment business, that would be something I'd really encourage him to do. And I think you have to, there's another little mantra I have, which is you do the right thing even if it costs you.
Yeah.
So you have to remember you're dealing with people. So you have to put the person first. And I could give you a few examples where we've had clients, which we don't often have, where there's a problem with a candidate ownership. And I think it's happened twice. And I've walked away and said, that's fine, have the candidate, because I'm not going to be responsible for somebody losing a job because two agencies are arguing about a fee.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have your values right. I think you have to passionately believe what you're doing. I think you need to know your market, know what you're talking about. And if you don't know, tell them you don't know. I think I'm just going back to what I said. There's nothing wrong in saying I don't know.
Yeah. There's no quick, easy fix.
No. But make sure you've got somebody else running the business for you who's good at finance, because if you don't get the finance right in a recruitment business, and typically at the moment, obviously I'm on lots of calls about recruitment businesses, and that it's a cash flow element. The cash flow is the major problem, and they're talking about 40-50% of recruitment businesses going bust, and that's not necessarily because they don't do a good job. That's because they haven't been well run.
Yeah. And obviously the recruitment business, as you said, has changed a lot in recent years.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And given current circumstances, that's been fast-tracked in lots of industries even quicker. How do you feel the recruitment business will look in the next sort of year, 18 months, 2 years?
I think the IR35 change was really important. Do you know what? I think people are saying that this is a black swan or a V, so we've gone really down and we're going to go way up, bounce back. What I can tell you is 2 weeks before this happened, we had our strongest pipeline we've had for years. It's obviously very encouraging. But what I think is going to happen is the interim market is going to grow quickly.
Yeah, I think so.
Not enough people are going to need to have people quickly, and they haven't got time to go through the process. Plus, heads are being cut where they don't really want to cut the head. And also, I think that there is a challenge with people applying for permanent jobs at the moment. So I think the interim market will come back more quickly.
Yeah,
that's what everybody's saying in the sector.
Yes, and I also think some people that have been looking for work and jobs before the coronavirus, that they've always been looking for that perfect job, to be fully employed. And I've often said to them, and we have conversations about, well, perhaps an interim role would be better for you to prove your worth and demonstrate your value, to get your feet in there. You can't spend all your time looking for that perfect job to come along, and especially with certain generations, need to be a lot more adaptable and flexible in dealing with that.
I think the more mature market, which obviously, I know we've been doing this work with you about future-proof yourself, and I think the one we did in February about there was an age bracket there, but a sort of level of person in their sort of their career. And I think that the interim market's a really big potential for them, because they've got such a lot of skill.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of the time, don't necessarily want to work at that senior level. They're happy to work here, but they've obviously got the knowledge to elevate themselves.
Yeah. I
think the interim market is a really solid place for someone to start if they're not working.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant. So that's a lot of great information about how you've developed, how you've grown, how you've future-proofed yourself and managed and grown your business and you as a person. And we've just started then to talk about, sort of the recruitment market changing and what's going to happen in the near future. So anything that you're very mindful of and you're starting to think about and work on that's going to help, future-proof Nicky and herself, and how's she going to continue to develop herself and manage herself?
I love learning, so that's part of me. I really feel that, and I, in the business, when I'm with other people who teach me, I encourage people to teach me as well. I think the day you think you've learned everything is the day you should just stop anyway, because you never have.
Yeah.
I think I'm naturally inquisitive about learning, so I always want to be looking at things differently. I'm very open. I think you know that about me. I'm very open to listening.
Yes.
And I think you've got to be constantly thinking ahead of the market. I mean, years ago, this must be 10 years ago, I changed the model of Signet. So we had consultants and resources, and nobody was doing that. Everybody does that now. So that was great then because I was ahead of the game. What is actually more of a challenge now is being ahead of the game.
Yeah.
That's what I think is, for me, I listen to Daniel, who's obviously in recruitment, and how he does things.
So Daniel's your oldest son?
Daniel's my eldest son, who runs the interim division for an HR recruitment business. So it's healthy competition.
Good.
But he's not doing, when we talk about it, he doesn't do anything different really to what I do. He's not changed the wheel massively. Apart from he's got a business that runs a lot of groups and facilitates lots of conversations, that he gets the kudos for that. But I think in the terms of the reason he's successful is because he does actually do the face-to-face and all that side of it. I think you've got to be, I think the danger of recruitment is if we'd have stayed as if Signet was now, today, what I set up, we wouldn't have a business. We wouldn't have a business if Signet was still trying to be what it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the market, so what recruitment now is about a narrow market. That's what people want. So if you ignore that, you're going to fail. And I think we probably nearly did that at one point. And I think you've got to accept that internal talent is here to stay. LinkedIn, all those things, but it still doesn't alter the fact that you've got your own network, your relationships. Nobody can replace that. No. You have to work with it. There's no point, the people I've spoken to this morning are talent acquisition managers for their companies, but they're wise enough to know they can't do everything themselves. They want that support. Yes. So you've got to evolve that around what the internal talent team wants. So by giving them things that they can't get elsewhere. Yeah.
So it is constantly, adapting, changing, being flexible, as you say, networking well to find out how other people work and develop and being one step ahead, and making those changes, because sometimes we can, procrastinate in the way that we've always done it. And as you said, you've had to change your business model several times.
You'll have read this, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes.
So, it's at the moment it's so relevant, isn't it? Because you've got, we've had our cheese and then it's like the cheese is gone now. So we can ask now and go into panic mode, or we're going to be like, I think it's Hem, and he eventually goes out and finds more cheese. And I think at the moment, it's probably one of the most challenging parts of my career. But in some ways, it's quite exciting because it's making me be more creative and look at things differently. And like this onboarding project, I just suddenly thought, well, what can I do that's different? And get people to talk about it. And people really want to talk about it. So you can't just sit there hoping the cheese is going to come back, because it's not.
Yeah, that's very wise words. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. Anybody listening to this would like to get in contact with Nicky. If you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, you will see all her details and you can access her, or just contact me and I can pass you on the details. If you're listening to this on the podcast, so if you can just do your full name and the company and your email address, so people can just grab a pen if they're listening to this on the podcast at the moment.
Okay, so it's Nicky, Nicky, .Pusey, P-U-S for sugar, E-Y, at Signet, S-I-G-N-E-T, resources.co.uk. My phone number is 07760 462600.
And you're based in Maidenhead?
Yeah. We come from the UK, so that's just our base location.
Yeah.
And where are you based at the moment, does it, David?
No, that is very, very true. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a privilege to have your time and have a conversation with you. So thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thanks, David.